What's happening, beautiful people, and thank you so much for tuning into this video. I am Carrington Brown, your relation expert, and today we are on episode or part 11 of Principles for a Christian Household. Our verse for the day is Ephesians 5, chapter 5, verse 31. This is going to be good, y'all. It's going to be real good. So what it says is this: for this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. One more time. For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. And let's talk about this. Now, this verse is very important. And the reason why it's very important is because family is very important. And because family is so important, if nothing or nobody else, family has the ability to destroy a relationship. Family has the ability to destroy a marriage. Why? Because your family is normally your primary influences with the decisions that you make. And so when we look at this verse, and it's talking about basically leaving and cleaving, if you don't manage this properly, you set yourself up for failure in your relationship. So let's get into it, right? And I'm actually looking at this. I'm actually going to throw an additional point up in here possibly, right? So let's hear point number one, right? Point number one says this: you can't cleave in two places. One more time. Ooh, that's good. You cannot cleave in two places, right? It says that a man will leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, right? The man cannot cleave to his wife until he leaves his father and mother. To cleave means to be cemented together, right? It then goes on to say the two will become one flesh. You can't be cemented to your parents and cemented to your wife, King. And so in order for your marriage to thrive, in order for your marriage to be a reflection of the blueprint that God has in place for marriage in a Christian household, you have to free yourself from the relationship between your parents and then connect yourself and cleave with your wife, which means that she becomes that number one lady and mama become number two. It is what it is. Point number one is you can't cleave in two places. You can't cleave with your parents and be cemented to your wife. Point number two is this: the talk is on the shoulders of the man, right? The leaving and cleaving is a responsibility of the man. The leaving and cleaving is on the responsibility of the husband. Why? Because the reason why the relational dynamic between the husband and the parents are changing is not because the parents change, but more so because of a decision that the husband made. And so because the husband made the decision, it's his responsibility to have the necessary conversations with his family and let them know about the transitions or the changes that will come about in his relation with them as a result of him getting married. It's not the wife's responsibility. It ain't even the parent's responsibility. As a husband, you have a responsibility of making sure that there's a peaceful transition or a peaceful passing of the baton from your parents to your wife as a result of you having the necessary conversation that you need to have with them and understanding how the relationship is going to be transition. Point number three is this: marriage without oneness is singleness. Man, that's good. See, y'all, that's how you know God wrote this. Marriage without oneness is singleness. If the Bible is telling me that as a husband, I'm supposed to leave my father and mother and be united or cleave to my wife, cemented together, and the two will become one flesh, for you to leave your father and mother and to commit to the covenant of marriage without oneness, without cleaving, then you single. Why? Because you can't have marriage without covenant, and you can't have covenant without cleaving, right? The covenant between us and God, cleaving, right? He's one with us in the form of the Holy Spirit, and we have to be intentional about becoming one with him. You can't say I do to this woman and be connected to her and be committed to her and say, hey, I created this lifelong covenant with you, if you have not committed to really cleaving to this woman, letting yourself go from the family situation and then becoming one with this woman, right? So for example, when we look at finances, you need to have a joint bank account. When you look at passwords and all that type of stuff, unless you work for the government and it's confidential, y'all need to have access to each other's stuff. Why? Because it ain't yours no more, right? One thing you'll learn as a husband is that when it comes, especially when you have married for sure, but then when you have kids, it's triple, double, whatever. But it's your food is never your food, right? I get annoyed, y'all. Let me be real with y'all for a minute. I get annoyed, y'all, that I cannot just eat food around my family and just eat it all to myself. Anytime I have something to eat or something to drink, these little crumb snatching kids or this wife of mine is digging in my plate or picking up my cup. Why? She has full permission to do that. Why does she have full permission to do that? Because it's not my cup and it's not my food. It's ours. Because we ain't single. We were two, but the two became one when we chose to cleave and separate ourselves from our family, right? And so that's what you gotta understand. You cannot do marriage without oneness, because marriage without oneness is singleness, right? So that's our conversation today, beautiful people. The verse was chapter 5, verse 31. For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother to be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. Point one is you can't cleave in two places. You can't be cleaved to your parents and cleave to your wife. Number two is the talk is on the shoulders of the man. As the husband, you have the responsibility of having the necessary conversation with your parents to let them know how the relationship will be transitioned. And point number three is this: marriage without oneness is singleness. You can't be married in a covenant and still not be one and cemented together. Because if you are, you ain't married. You really ain't married, all right? So thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe. If you didn't already, follow me on all social media platforms. I'm at TheCarringtonBrown. Thank you guys once again for tuning in. I hope you have a blessed, phenomenal, productive day. I'll talk to you soon. Peace out.